Om Ganapataye Namaha. In this video, I'm going to be passing along some secrets about Ganapati. And by the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of who this deity is and what he represents and why he is extraordinarily desirable to work with and bring into your life. Now, I'm going to be reading some passages from this book, which was recommended by Dr. Pillai. The secrets that I'm going to be revealing or sharing in this video come from Dr. Pillai and also the Siddha, Amarakavi Siddheswara. This Siddha here, very accomplished Siddha master, which I highly recommend these two books in particular. There's a bunch of books that come from this Siddha here. This one is called Secrets Behind Divine Worship. If you're into any of the Hindu archetypes particularly, you'll definitely want to have this book. There are so many secrets that you can't find anywhere else. And if you don't know, the Siddhas, the secrets from the Siddhas are truly unique. They are ultimate and supreme. And in many cases, they take the common knowledge that we can find easily on Google and they flip it on its head, giving the deepest, most profound secrets about the universe and creation. If you're not into the Hindu archetypes, I will preface this by saying the Hindu archetypes are not limited to a geographic location or a culture. They are in fact universal principles or aspects of your consciousness and all of our consciousness. There are archetypes, as Carl Jung, the father of psychology, would call them, and they reside in our unconscious where we are all connected. So I won't get into that too much in this video, maybe a little bit later on, but I want to focus on Ganapati in this video. Now, to start off with, I want to show you one of the pictures, and I'll get back to this book here. This is another book I highly recommend, Human Body and Brahma Rahasya, which is Secrets of Brahma, or Brahma is another word, not the creator God Brahma, in this case the Brahman, which is God. Brahman is the God principle, if you will, that is where all the deities merge into. That is the Force in Star Wars, and so many other names in different traditions. But I want to draw your attention to this seemingly pyramid shape here. You'll notice up top here is Ganapati himself. And here we have the Trinity. We have Shiva and Vishnu. Here we have the other divine beings such as Hanuman. We have, I believe, Krishna's here, and Lord Rama, Lord Surya. And then below that we have some exalted Siddhas here. And then below that, further, we have saints and other deities. And then we have the human beings. And then we have the animal kingdom. And so the main message here is Ganapati sits at the very top. And this is where I'm going to start getting into the secrets of Ganapati and who he is or what he represents. It's profound. So, according to the Siddhas, Ganapati himself is not, as this Siddha says, while he's typically, I'm paraphrasing, while he's typically worshipped first, as Ganapati is typically associated with the Lord of the Beginning, so everyone worships Ganapati first to remove obstacles and for auspicious starts. But this Siddha says it's a mistake that people make, that here is they put him aside after finishing the prayer and they go ahead and worship other gods. Sri Ganapati is the fully complete primal deity. He is the one who exists in the Pranava Swarupa. Pranava here is the sound Om, and Swarupa is form. So Ganapati is the form of Om. And if you don't know about Om, Om is the sum total of all consciousness. Om is the source of all the other mantras, and all these other mantras are personified as other deities. So Om is all the deities in one form, which is Ganapati or Ganapati. He's very simple. So he talks about Ganapati doesn't require elaborate worship rituals. He can be pleased by a simple piece of sugar candy. Dr. Pillai talks about just one M&M. Or offerings of Bermuda grass, which is also Arugam pool in Tamil, I believe. But here's the Bermuda grass, and check out the link in the description of this video. I'll put some links to the references I make here, where you can buy this. You can find this at pet stores. You can find it online. This is actually a sacred grass for Ganapati. I believe it is called as Dhruva grass in Sanskrit, Struva or Darba. but just a little grass in front of Ganapati is pleasing to him. So here's some interesting tidbits about Ganapati. Those who perform worship of deities like Sri Varahi and Sri Kali, these are two ferocious, fierce aspects of the goddess. In particular, if you can look at Sri Kali. Kali represents the wild aspect of the goddess, the untamed aspect of the goddess. She is the opposite of one who is to be controlled. And for those of you wondering about, I've had some comments in my past videos about worshiping Kali, and I would recommend to you is do not worship Kali unless you get that sadhana specifically from a guru. So Kali represents the untamed aspect of him, wild. Even considering this, if there's any mistake performed to these goddesses in these rituals, they can be deadly. So you can actually get harmed by performing the wrong rituals, or even one little mistake, one misplacement of concentration, one wrong offering, one wrong timing. Any of these things can be deadly. However, with Sri Ganapati's grace, even these deities can come under control. Now, if you understand about Kali, you can understand how profound that statement is. With Ganapati's grace, even Sri Kali can come under control. You can control Kali through Ganapati's grace. Profound. There is no other deity equal to or superior to Ganapati. So one of his names is Sri Vinayaka. Vinayaka means there's nobody above him. Sri Ganapati is nobody's above him. He is the top. He's the cornerstone, or whatever that piece is called at the top. The very tip of, he's the Alpha and the Omega. The powers of all the deities are contained within Mahaganapati. Worshipping Sri Mahaganapati is equivalent to worshipping all the gods. This is another profound statement. One should remember that it is only Sri Mahaganapati who granted the powers to all the gods, such as Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, Shiva, Muruga, Sadashiva, Navagraha, the 9 planets, or agents of karma, and the Ashtadikpalakas, the guardians of the 8 directions. So the Holy Trinity itself, Muruga, the son of Shiva, Sadashiva, Sadashiva is, according to the Siddhas, the lord of all the Shivas. There's different forms. You have the Nataraj, you have Rudra, you have all these different forms of Shiva. Apparently, Sadashiva is the lord of all the Shivas, and even he gets his powers from Mahaganapati. It is only people's ignorance that prevents them from seeking the grace of Sri Mahaganapati. It is sad that even people who are interested in spirituality do not know about such a great deity who grants all worldly benefits besides helping them cross the ocean of worldly life. What he's saying here is, it is through our ignorance. Ignorance is a veiling. So we have the soul, the truth, the superintelligence, which in fact is Ganapati. And it's only through our misunderstanding, due to our limited identity, which is confused and not identified with the true nature of ourself. It is only because of this that we are not worshiping Ganapati, is what he's saying. It's not that he's condemning people or calling them names. He's pointing out that it's only because of this illusion or delusion of our ego that we are not worshiping Ganapati, who is the primal deity. Now, it also goes on to say that Sri Mahaganapati is Atma Swarupa. So I just talked about that a little bit. Atma Swarupa. Atma means soul, and Swarupa means form. So the form of your soul is Mahaganapati. And also goes on to say that Sri Mahaganapati, the only being who can be called as the primal deity, the Adi Deva. Adi is the first. Deva means God. The first God, the primal deity, that title is reserved only for Mahaganapati, according to the Siddhas. Siddha, Amarakavi Siddheswara. Now, about this Siddha, Dr. Pillai actually wrote the preface to this book, and he talks about how this Siddha is a Brahmayani. Brahmayani is one who has the wisdom of the Brahman. Yani is a wisdom. Brahman is God. Someone who is a God-realized person, and who Dr. Pillai talks about how all these revelations from this Siddha came directly from God himself. This Siddha just also so happened to be devotee or someone who took Ganapati as his primary deity. I'll go through a couple more things here. I bookmarked one more page that I want to talk about. So we have as Sri Mahaganapati is the one who gives the form to the great souls, so the immortality. The form that the great souls take never changes. When we mere mortals, without any yoga sadhana, die, our name and form get destroyed. We can never ever regain them. On the other hand, the form and name of the great souls never change, and thus they live forever. It is Sri Mahaganapati who remains as the Lord of the Rupa Tanmantra, or the form, the cause for both eternal and as well as ephemeral forms. So the one who grants immortality is Mahaganapati. He is the Lord of Shani. Shani is the most powerful planet. In fact, Ganapati, as it says here, is Lord of all the 9 planets. So if you're having any doshas related to astrology, any blemishes is what dosha means, any problems in your chart, Sri Mahaganapati or Ganapati, worshipping him, can take care of all the problems of the planets. And the planets here represent karma. They represent karmic tendencies. So when planets combine at the time of your birth, they create a certain blueprint, and this blueprint gives you tendencies. Whether those are good tendencies or bad tendencies, these represent your karma. And often, because we live on the earth plane, which as Dr. Pillai talks about, is a place where we are here to balance out karma, which means there's a lot of suffering that is involved. But Mahaganapati is one who is the Lord of obstacles. Ganapati himself can veto karma. He has the power to veto karma. So by worshiping him, you can bypass. That's why Dr. Pillai calls him as Lord of Shortcuts. One of the reasons. He can shortcut and put you on the fast track to realizing yourself as God and, in general, overcoming suffering. He calls him as the express elevator, is Mahaganapati. As a Lord of Shortcuts, another meaning of this is Ganapati sits at the top. So if you can imagine this pinnacle, tip top, as Ganapati's perspective, where you have other deities, they're kind of in the wave, if you will, where they're not able to see from the very top. Because Ganapati sits here and is looking from this point, he can see everything from the singularity perspective. So in other words, he can see the shortest and fastest path and bypass all the obstacles. An analogy for this is if you are lost in a forest with very thick brush, you're trying to find your way out. Because you're in the middle of the forest already, you can't see because you have so much brush in you, and it's anybody's guess to which way to go. Or if you can think of Ganapati here, is he's sitting way above the forest. He can see the forest, he can see all the paths, he can see where there's traps, where there's holes. He can see the most direct route out of the forest, or the most direct route to manifestation that you want to create. That's why Ganapati is the Lord of Shortcuts, and why he is called as Vinayaka, second to none. Nobody is above Ganapati. And I think that's all I'm going to say for now. There's so many secrets, and again, I want to strongly recommend this book to give you a very general idea of what he reveals. It's not just limited to Ganapati. He talks all about Ganapati, all the different forms, all the different weapons and decorations, which he calls as the awards and achievements. So when you see deities carrying a Sri Chakra or a shell, a conch, or having a snake around them, or all these different things that the deities archetypes have, these are all different awards or different representations of certain things that they have conquered or accomplished that are also given to the Siddhas and other beings who have become accomplished. He goes through all that. He goes through exhaustively. The Trinities, all about Vaishnavism or Vishnu, worship of the goddess, worship of Muruga, all about Shiva. He talks about the different secrets of how the temples are constructed, the different secrets of all the vahanas, or the vehicles of the divine beings, such as the cow, the eagle, the crow, the cobra, the parrot. It goes on and on. If you are engaged in if you're drawn to Hinduism, drawn to any of the deities in Hinduism especially, get this book. you will be so happy you did, and it will help you understand what you're doing when you're worshiping these beings, who these beings are, what they represent, and everything about their archetype. Similarly, this book as well. He's got several of these books. This is another one that Dr. Pillai is highly recommended. Talks about all the secrets of the chakras, all the different types of bodies that we have, the aura, you name it. It's in this book. There's a lot of secrets that you can't find in both of these books anywhere else. So to recap, I want to encourage you to bring Ganapati in your life. And if you're watching this video, I would go on a limb and say that Ganapati himself probably brought you to this video to get inspired and to learn this. Because after all, as the Siddhas say, there is no accidents in life. Everything is being controlled by God. So there are no mistakes. So if you're watching this video, there's a strong likelihood that Ganapati is reaching out and asking to bring him into your life. Now, as I mentioned, you can keep a statue of Ganapati and just worship it with simple sugar candy like an M&M. Candy bars, I like to use candy bars. I like to use the Bermuda grass every day, or put some Bermuda grass in front of him. When you're done with it, just put it outside. You can also burn it afterwards. A lot of secrets about Bermuda grass that Dr. Pillai has revealed that I'm not going to share in this video. You can keep a statue, you can keep a yantra of Ganapati. Even some of the Siddhas talk about you can just get a dirt ball and consider it as Ganapati. He is infinite. And one of the things about Ganapati also is he is the expression of infinite mercy and infinite love and compassion. In the brain, he lives in a lot of areas in the body and the brain. One of the most primary areas is the anterior cingulate. If you look at the elephants, they have also these von Economo neurons, which are only found in human beings and some of the most intelligent species, such as the elephants, the great apes, dolphins. And these von Economo neurons in the anterior cingulate in general are associated with compassion. So what it means is, Ganapati, one of his names is Kshipra. Kshipra means he is very quick to act, and he's very easy to please, as it goes on to talk about in this book. So you can approach Ganapati like a friend. You can approach him as a god. You can approach him as yourself, as your Atma or your soul, whatever you're comfortable with, but bring him into your life. And whenever you start something new, even if I'm getting in the car to go and start the car, when I leave the house, when I start a new project, when I'm working online and I'm starting a new document, whatever it is new, you always want to start with Ganapati because he represents the principle of being first. You have to call on him because only he has the power to remove the obstacles. And similarly, he's the one who gives the obstacles. There's a story about Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is also considered to be a supreme deity who is actually considered to be the father of Ganapati. Lord Shiva was going out to destroy some demons, and this is the story of the Tripura. If you're not familiar with it, you can go and Google about it, where he was destroying these 3 demons who lived in these 3 different forts, and he was setting off in a chariot. All the gods took forms to create like the wheels and the chariot itself and the weapons that he had and all these things. And he started out, and the wheel, I think it was the wheel or the axle, broke on the chariot, and he got stuck. And he remembered that he forgot to worship Ganapati. And so he called on Ganapati, and then he was able to successfully go and do it. So even Shiva has to call on Ganapati to remove obstacles and to start anything. And as the Siddha says, which the information came directly from God, even Shiva and the Trinity is getting their power from Ganapati. In fact, it goes on to say that it is Ganapati himself who manages these deities. He is managing Vishnu. He is managing Shiva. He is managing Brahma, the creator. He is managing all the lower deities, all the saints and siddhas. There's a chant for Ganapati that says, Kavi Kavinam. He is the wisdom of the wise. What it means is, any wisdom from your soul, any of that intuition, you are accessing Ganapati. That is, the Ganapati principle is the supreme wisdom. Your soul intelligence is Ganapati. Also, the preeminence principle. Anybody who has been able to achieve a preeminence or who has achieved the highest position in their respective field, whether they're a yogi, whether they're a scientist, whether they're an artist, that is also a manifestation of Ganapati, who represents also preeminence. And so, I mean, we could just go on and on and on and talk about it. The bottom line is, bring Ganapati into your life. Some of the different forms of Ganapati into different traditions, to give you an idea of his universal archetype. He's not limited to Hinduism. In the West, he's known as the Great Divine Director. You can go and look that up. In Egypt, he was known as Thoth. I believe he is considered or related to, or the Archangel Gabriel is a manifestation of Ganapati, also represents Ganapati. I believe also Saint Nick represents Ganapati. I believe there's also a connection between Melchizedek and Ganapati. I believe there may also be a connection of Quetzalcoatl and Ganapati. Also, Hanuman is also considered to be a representative of Ganapati, believe it or not. Another secret is Hanuman is a form of Ganapati too. And Hanuman is all about associated with accomplishing the impossible. So whether you're worshiping Om, which is Ganapati itself, whether you're worshiping the highest aspect of your soul, self-realization, any of the most preeminent aspects, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, is Ganapati. So bring Ganapati in your life. Use his mantra. I'll put a link. Check out the description. I'll put a link to where you can buy Bermuda grass, where you can buy these books, where you can get mantras and meditation from Dr. Pillai, and receive initiation to start calling on Ganapati. So I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, if you have any comments or feedback, I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment underneath this video. And as always, if you'd like to be notified for future videos, click subscribe and the bell notification. God bless. Om Maha Ganapataye Namaha.